Welcome to the Upwards Positive Podcast with your hosts, Dave and Tim. Journey to positive thinking through stories, music, movies, and much more. Join the guides as they help provide you with positive thinking and ideas to help you through hard times in the journey of life.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Upwards Positive Podcast. It's myself, Dave, and Tim, and we are here to chat with you guys and keep it positive because that is how we're rolling. How you doing, Tim? You good?
I'm doing good, man. I can't complain, man. It's just such a gorgeous day out today. Sunshine's coming through, and man, that makes you feel good. You know, it's not a gray day. We've had a series of gray days, and when that sun starts kicking out, man, that sunrise this morning was amazing, and the day just continues to get better and better. So
yeah, for sure. I heard this quote. I'm going to quote something today. I heard we were watching the church live today on the thing, and one of the quotes the preacher said was, "Awake, awake, rise from the ashes, rise from the white, shake off the dust." That's what it was. Awake, awake, shake off the dust. Basically implying that Jesus is saying, like, get up, get moving, and get ready. Instead of just sit there and just every day just mope around. It's time to experience life. Get outside, walk a trail. Like help somebody, right? Just experience something.
Yeah. That's so important, is to stay active, not just physically, but mentally, right? I mean, you do the same things day in and day out, and there's going to be a monotony that you get in your life. And, it's always important to switch things up a little bit and go down a different path, if you will, just to stay active, both mentally and physically. I think that's hugely important. I even find myself, and it's hard right now, right? Everybody's in COVID, everybody's locked in their house. The monotony is real, right? There's the things that you wanted to do or that you would do, and you go out and find, experiences with and pleasure with, you can't do right now in some cases. So it's so hard to really stay positive in today's world. And that's a tough one. I think that carries through to just normal everyday interactions with people, right? I mean, nowadays there's a lot of the communication, a lot of interactions with people aren't being done face to face. They're on social media where people are sharing opinions. And that's such a hard environment out there right now to really have a conversation with people and stay positive in doing that and not get into this, I'm right, you're wrong, it's black and white, and this is it type of thing. And that's, I think I wanted to talk a little bit about today was, having interactions with people, whether that's on social media or in person, with somebody that maybe doesn't agree with you, and how it is that we've had experiences with those type of situations to stay positive, to stay in a mindset that isn't negative, and drives that conversation forward. Not necessarily, and don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about winning a conversation. I'm just talking about having a civilized conversation with people. And that's tough, I think, in today's age.
Yeah, I think it's tough sometimes when, especially now with political things going on, it's very difficult. People are feeling more and more threatened, which is too bad because, it's not necessarily the situation it needs to be. The thing is, here's the way I look at it, and this is really important. Don't ever put your faith in celebrities or politicians, or put your faith in God. Put your faith in Jesus. Don't put your faith in people that are people. They're going to have errors and mistakes. They're people. You can't, don't get me wrong. You can love people. You can respect people. You can not respect people because you think they're bad people, but that doesn't mean you should, rag on them or, that makes you a bad person. So in my opinion, it's just, having conversations with people is critical to, life. You're supposed to talk with people, and it's okay to disagree with people, honestly. And it's okay to do it nicely. You don't have to. My whole thing is I take it in all the time. So if it's somebody who's opposite of what I did, let's say, so like a good example of this is crossbow hunting. A lot of people in the hunting world are up in arms. Not a lot, but there's people who are up in arms about crossbows being legal. They don't like it. So every time I have the conversation, I take it in. Hey, tell me what you don't like about it. It's not fair. It's too easy. Blah, blah, blah. Have you tried it? No. It's, so you know which way it's going to go already, but I don't be mean about it. I just say, well, if you don't like it, you're more than welcome to go to your politicians and try to get it taken out, right? That's how you would do it. That's the right thing to do. You don't need to bash it. Either if you don't like it, take it up with your representatives and work on legislation that takes it away, right? And it's just the opposite of what happened. People wanted it, so the legislation opened it, which made other people mad. But that's okay. I mean, it's okay to not agree, But my whole thing has always been, Tim, and I think we've talked about a lot on our other podcast, is that I don't want to ever dictate what you're allowed to do. Like, I am not the type of person that wants to make rules set upon you. And or anybody on this listen to this podcast. I am not here to tell you what you can and cannot do with your yard, or you can and cannot do with which bow you use, or, like, why would I want to do that? So that's that does bother me with people, is like, why are they so attent to worry about what I'm doing? It's like, am I hurting you? Does it affect you?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I've learned in my years here on Earth is that this world only works because there's a lot of different people. Right. If everybody thought the same way, if everybody had the same opinion on everything, it wouldn't be a world. We wouldn't have the things that we have. We wouldn't have the innovations that we have. We wouldn't have the policies that we have. There's a lot of different points of view out there. And I think that goes to maybe my first point, which is it's hard to have a conversation with somebody if you haven't walked in their shoes. If you haven't walked in their shoes, you haven't experienced what they've experienced. I don't know. Maybe sometimes you don't have the right to maybe approach that conversation if you haven't walked in that same path or have experience in that same path. I think that's a trap that we put ourselves into, is to say, well, I think this way because this is what I was told, or I have a certain religious belief and this is what that is. But without walking in that other people, without walking in those shoes of that other people, you got to remember, you're looking at it through your lens, right? You're seeing it through your worldview, your way of thinking. And that isn't always necessarily going to agree with everybody. And in fact, it probably most of the time won't. And I'll never forget, I think my tip number 2, if you will, and I don't really have any list of tips, numbered out that I want to go through, just kind of thoughts here. I think tip number 2, if you will, is that sometimes you just need to shut up. Sometimes it's not worth the conversation. Sometimes it's not worth that interaction if it's going to be negative and you're just going to have a disagreement with it. People just need to be heard sometimes, and it can go a long way if they think and they know that you're hearing their words, and maybe you just don't respond, right? And that's not necessarily like in politics or hunting, or that's with me and my wife. So sometimes it's important for me just to shut up because she doesn't need a response. She doesn't need an opinion. She doesn't need anything to be fixed, and I'm a fixer. I want to fix things. That's what I do. Sometimes you just need to shut up, acknowledge, and just be alongside them for whatever they want to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think you hit a home run with that one, Tim. That's exactly it. Sometimes it's just better to not say anything.
Yeah. Yep. And I got a good group of guys behind me, and you're definitely one of them. Well, one of the guys that I hang out with, he said something many years ago that really hit home to me, is that, hey, he goes, listen, he goes, it doesn't matter, marriage, arguments with other people, strangers, you might be right. And you probably are right in what you say 99% of the time. But where everybody goes wrong is how you deliver it. So words and the way you deliver words matters. And you could be right, but if I yell and scream, nobody's going to listen to me, right? I mean, it goes back to kind of how I try to treat my kids, and it doesn't always work this way, right? Is you start off very calmly. Hey guys, this needs to happen. We need to get this done. This is what we need to do. And maybe you say that 3 or 4 times calmly, and then I start to escalate it. And I think I'm at fault for this a lot of really just getting frustrated and letting that emotion come out and then delivering the message in the wrong way. And then it's just out the door, and it doesn't matter what happens at this point. There's just emotion everywhere. Everybody's yelling and screaming, and it's just done with.
Yep, that's how it goes, man. I think you're right, though. I think you really gotta just, like a lot of times, like when I reply to people, I try not to, unless it's my friends, like it's my good friends, I'll be like, no, you're wrong. It's because we know we're joking around.
Right.
But if it's people I don't know well, like people from work or stuff like that, I'm definitely more like, well, I think it's this, or, even though if I know the answer is yes, I'll be like, I think it's, and I use that on purpose because I don't want to make them feel bad, or, just be like, oh, you're wrong. Sorry. Like you're an idiot. It's not what I'm implying. So I always try to like politically give the answer back, and so it works sometimes. Sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes I found lately, sometimes the things I thought were right are wrong. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe I got that wrong, and it's just things I think I'm adamant about, but then I'm like, wait a minute, like a statistic or something, like, oh no, it was Jim Harbaugh. Yeah, it was Harbaugh. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, no, it was Brett Favre, it's just like, what the hell? So I even take my stuff with a grain of salt sometimes where I'm like, all right, maybe I need to like really look at this first. And even with you guys, when I think of something on a text or something, but see the Xbox PlayStation thing, I'll never forget because I know for a fact the Xbox has got more power. So I looked up those stats. I made sure I knew before I rushed to Jamie and said PS5 is not as good, because I wanted to make sure I knew. And I found the chart and I sent it to you guys because I wanted to make sure you knew I wasn't just BSing.
I can't believe we're back here again, man. I think this is one of those moments where I just need to shut up and not say anything.
But yeah, that was like one of those funny moments that but I wasn't wrong. So that was a good part.
I don't know, maybe, but we'll see. So one of the techniques I kind of use, and I'm really good at it, believe it or not, is playing stupid, right? And it kind of comes naturally to me, which is hard to imagine, but I like to play the stupid card sometimes. So like when you're having a conversation and you know what the answer is, but somebody else is really adamant about it, I just play stupid sometimes and ask really basic questions, just to kind of get to the point where, okay, let's start with the basics. Let me ask some stupid, really basic questions about this. And then we can kind of get into it deeper and deeper as we move along. But to me, playing stupid works very, really well because it puts them in a position of power in a way where they're the ones that are going to be giving you the answer, and you're giving them the right to be the authority on it, but you're doing it in a way that doesn't create negativity within that conversation at all. So,
yeah, well, since you did it to me 10,000 times, now it's negative every time.
Huh? What?
Yeah.
All right. So real quick, we got to tell that story real quick. So there was, so Dave and I, we went to college together, roommates together and all that kind of stuff. And there were years and years and years. So a little bit of background. Dave loves to talk, right? There's times where he just talks and talks and talks. And there might've been a few times where he's talking. I actually fell asleep while he was talking. No joke. So I had fun with it over, gosh, I mean, it had to have been like 4 or 5 years this would occur where Dave would start talking about something and just going on and on about something. And I look at him and I would just go, huh? What? Like I wasn't even paying attention at all. And it would just kind of like end the conversation. And it was funny to me, but eventually I don't know how you figured it out. I don't know how you figured it out that I was joking when I was doing all of this, but one day you figured it out and it just been this like huge
because it was
joke.
Something I actually played the game back on you because you said it was something I knew you knew the answer to. That's how I turned it around. Cause I knew it. I was like, oh, he just talked about it like 30 minutes ago. And he was adamant about it. And so then I did it. I flipped it to be like, there's no way he doesn't know what I'm talking about. And that's how I caught on. Then I started doing it to you. And I got you a couple times. And you're like, oh my God.
I'll tell you, man, that's fun, man. That's kind of one of those quirky things that we do. That's absolutely just fun and awesome, man. So I love hanging out with you.
I don't know why I was thinking of this song, but a song did come up when we were talking about, conversations and just the way people talk and feel. This one song came up in my mind, and I thought about it years ago. I used to love this song, and it's by John Mayer, actually. It's called Waiting on the World to Change.
Yeah.
And some of the lyrics are, me and all my friends, we're all misunderstood. They say we stand for nothing, and there's no way we ever could. Now we see everything that's going wrong with the world and those who lead it. We just feel like we don't have the means to rise above and beat it. So we keep waiting on the world to change. And then it goes on to say one day our generation is going to rule the population, which is amazing because really it is saying like, hey, if you don't agree with something someday, you will have the opportunity to rise up and, have the ability to get your voice heard or whatnot. But it's an important song because people feel that way, and they feel that they're not being heard. And I think that's really important, right? And if you don't feel you're being heard, you're going to be more likely to be upset or have anger or whatnot, So
yeah, no, that's a great point. And maybe we'll call that tip number 3 is sometimes the timing's not right. Sometimes that conversation that you really, really, really want to have needs to wait, and you need to pick the right opportunity to have that conversation, because yelling and screaming to try and get your voice heard doesn't make you get your voice heard any quicker. It just makes you look negative. And that's what we don't want to do, right? This whole thing is about being positive, having the right attitudes towards things. And so, yeah, maybe sometimes it is the timing of what you're trying to do.
Yeah. And another part of the song I'll throw out real quick, and it's a really important one, and I just want to make sure everybody's aware of it. It says, now, if we had the power to bring our neighbors home from war, they would have never missed a Christmas, no more ribbons on the doors. And when you trust your television, what you get is what you got, because when they own the information, they can bend it all they want. And I just want to make sure it's clear that I agree with that statement 100%. I don't trust really any news broadcast anymore. I really, ever since what has happened with our governments and stuff recently, it's really hard to put trust in anything you see on TV. So my recommendation is really just don't trust everything you see. Doesn't matter. I'm not being biased here. It could be Fox, CNN, doesn't matter. Just remember, they do own that information. They can bend it all they want. And it's really important that, we think that way, because you have to understand what you're hearing isn't necessarily the whole story every time. It doesn't matter which side. It doesn't matter. What I'm saying is just trust your instincts, what you think is right, and don't throw other people under the bus because they don't believe what you believe,
So just a quick thing that kind of hit me when you were talking there. That song came out in 2006, and we're 14 years later, and that still holds true today, right? So that just kind of tells you like what we're going through right now as a society in social media and all of that negativity that's going on. It's been here, and guess what? It's not going away. So it's about how we react to it that really matters. Is that important? And personally, I agree with you. I don't think it does. I don't think that stuff matters. At the end of the day, I got to look at my life. And if I let my life be affected by what I see on TV and the news and social media and all that kind of stuff, I don't know how anybody gets out of bed in the morning. I really don't. Yeah. You got to forget all that stuff. You got to look at your moment in life that you're in right now. Forge your best path with that life that you're in, those circumstances that you're in right now, and just move forward and forget sometimes about the rest of the world, because it's not going to put your shoes on for you. It's not going to put your pants on for you. It's not going to make
your big boy pants
have a good attitude when you're talking to the people around you, for sure.
I don't know why I was thinking this lyric came to my mind when we were just talking about this, and it's from Howie Day, and it says, "Step aside from all this anger. Somewhere in between, you can feel me." So when I say that, it makes me think, look, embrace your brothers and sisters. It doesn't matter if you're left or right. We're Americans. We have to come together and make it right. Honestly, like we're going to work it out. We always do. I mean, everybody makes a big deal out of this because the media is driving people freaking bonkers.
Yeah.
Chill from the radio, chill from the CNNs and the Foxes. Don't watch that crap. Just focus on yourself, your family, helping your neighbor, whether or not whoever they voted for, it doesn't matter. What matters is we're here together. This is it. This is our country, and we have to come together and stay positive. We have to. It's the way it's going to be. It's the way it's always been.
You're right. Yeah. We have to take each moment, each day, each step, moment by moment, right? It's your day doesn't start with the news. Your day starts with putting your shoes on, taking action, walking out that door, and doing what you have to do. What's that?
Big boy pants.
Big boy pants.
Honestly, again, I'll say it one more time. Step aside from all this anger, because somewhere in between we can feel each other. And that's what I was getting at. It's just, you gotta, and I love the lyric from John Mayer. It says they can bend it all they want. And it's so true. I mean, for many years, and now we're seeing it with social media, and they're bending it and silencing people. I mean, it's just strange to me. And it's becoming, and it's fine. It is what it is. Like I said, I'm going to stay positive regardless, but I just don't want you guys to fall into those traps. In fact, I was just looking the other day if I could delete Twitter and all that. I was like, maybe I should just delete some of these, because I'm starting to fall into, like if I'm reading too much into it, and so-and-so's opinion and this other guy's opinion, and it's all opinions, and non-factual stuff. And it's just, they need to sell, your space. They need you guys on there. So all these companies can spend millions of dollars, sponsoring an advertisement on one of those big news, broadcasters or whatnot. So,
yeah, no. And I've made some changes in my own habits, I think, and I think one of the biggest habits is this thing, right? The good old cell phone, and being able to within, a second, start reading about what's going on out there. And what I find myself actually just naturally doing, this wasn't a thought process about it. It just kind of clicked in my head right now when we were talking about this is, we just got through this big political time in our country, right? There's a presidential election this year. Everything is going crazy. People have an opinion on this side, that side, everywhere. And I just got sick of it. And so what I ended up doing, just out of nature of not wanting to see that stuff and really kind of get away from it all, I started looking towards the things that I like. I like grilling. I like cooking. I like off-roading. And so I found myself really going out to Facebook, and instead of really kind of reading the news and that kind of stuff that was in my news feed from like Channel 4 and all that other stuff, CNN, everything, I ended up finding myself joining these different groups that were about the positive things that I enjoy out of life, as opposed to focusing on the media. So my whole news feed now, I don't see the news. I mean, it's been probably 2 or 3 weeks since I started doing that. And now the only thing that comes up in my news feed is, well, number one, Bowhunter Planet. Cause if you haven't seen that, you got to go check it out, cause that's just cool. But things like, I'm in a couple smoker groups, right? People not what you think. I like to smoke meat. I have a pellet grill, and so I'm in a group for that. And so it's really cool to see the creative stuff people are doing. So hey, maybe a tip. I kind of fell on it accidentally, but maybe it can be useful for other people to kind of get that negativity out of their news feed and replace it with something that brings them joy in life.
Yeah, no, I love it. That's a great idea, Tim. In fact, that, Tim and I enjoy hunting together. So like, that's one of the things we did during COVID. And to be honest, that's one thing I really love. And Tim and I talk about a lot when we talk about like, things to do each year and places to go. Well, that's, this past year was a big deal for us. We spent like a full week there during COVID, which I thought I had COVID, but I didn't. And then Tim ended up getting COVID actually, but it wasn't for me. But either way, it's just so nice to go there and just unwind, and you have nothing to do but hunt and relax and enjoy each other's company and then grill. And then this year Tim bought a Blackstone and brought it, and it was so fun to watch the grilling and just smoke, and it's just so fun. I don't know. There's
nothing better to me than having a group of people over and cooking for that group of people. I don't know why. It's a passion of mine. I mean, I'm not saying I'm a culinary artist by any means, so don't get me wrong. But there was a period in my life where I debated what I wanted to do with my life. I went to Central Michigan. I was a biology, marketing minor, business minor. But then I started to really think, is this the path that I want to go down? I really love to cook. I really love this stuff. And I actually went and did some research, and I was really close from quitting everything and going to culinary art school instead. To be honest with you. And I'm glad I didn't. I mean, the path that I've been taking on, that God has put before me has been amazing. I can't imagine my family or anything being better, in the situation that I'm in right now. But that I'm just saying that because that's a part of who I am. I love that cookie. It brings me positivity. I love doing that stuff. So being able to have more and more of that in my life and kind of read people and their positive experiences with that it's just fun.
Yeah. And like, I think we started this podcast today kind of in the idea of just, finding those things that make you happy, that you can work with your neighbors on and speak to people on. And, honestly, try to avoid political talk. If it's something that bothers you, honestly, just don't even talk about it. Talk about it, and someone brings it up, just change the subject. I mean, if it bothers you, it's just one of those things where you just got to kind of find something that drives you that's positive. I'll be honest, Tim, we just talked about what's in your feed and all that. And, the last 3 days I was looking at the two different, CNN and Fox News, going back and forth, seeing what's going on. And it just makes me feel bad. Like, it doesn't make me even feel good. It makes me just sad for our country that, these two news agencies just pick on other sides so hardcore every time, It's like people died, man. Like, we need to step up here. This isn't like, this is crazy. So
yeah, that to me is it. It's the spin side of things, right? I think one thing that a lot of people can agree on, whether you're right, left, center, is that we miss the facts, right? We miss as a people making our own decision. I'm tired of other people telling me how to think. I'm tired of other people telling me opinions. Like, I just want to shut it all down. And if that means that I don't think about that side of things, so be it. I mean, to be quite honest with you, I don't miss it. the last 2 weeks of me not listening to the news has really done nothing but be a positive influence right now for me. So, you all got to choose. Everybody reacts differently. Some people can handle it. Right now in my life, no, man, I need something different.
Yeah, I agree. I was hoping that, what I was hoping is that a lot of the media, not media organizations, but shows and TV shows and all that would kind of bypass that stuff. Unfortunately, some of them did not, which they all brought that up. But, like I said, you got to think positive, look positive. And I recommend, like I said in the beginning, don't look to celebrities, politicians, look to God, look to Jesus for your help and need and beliefs and, all that. But again, love thy neighbor, let's try to, pull it together here, guys. It's got to go positive. We got to look upward. We got to talk things out with people, understand all facts. And even so, doesn't change anything, like even if, doesn't mean anything's going to change. All it's changing is your relationship with people around you and keeping it positive. It's a hard time for sure. You
can hate the politics, but love the person. And if you can't love the person and you can't see through that, you got to make a change, man. You can't, if all you see when you talk to somebody is their political views, you're doing something wrong. And I'm just going to call you out on that. I mean, that's something that needs to change, is if you can't be friends with somebody because they have a different view, or you can't be tolerant of somebody because they have a different viewpoint than you, that needs to change. And we got to find a way to move beyond that and stop trying to make people think like you do, because it's never going to happen. Never going to happen.
I remember watching this episode of Band of Brothers, and I love that show. Is really well done by Tom Hanks and those guys. And the show is about World War II, and it's on HBO. It's excellent. And they basically, it's a true story, and they go back and create this movie based on this airborne group. And anyway, one of the comments that was in there, and I'll never forget it because I thought it was a really important comment that someone stated, and I don't know if it was real or made up for the movie or whatever, but it was respect the rank, not the person. So sometimes in life, like you have a boss that you might not like, or maybe their boss or something, you still, as much as you might not like the person, you still need to respect their title and their rank and what they do. They're put in that position for a reason, and that reason is maybe not privy to you, maybe you don't know, that they saved the company millions of dollars, or they really earned it and worked their butt off. Right. I'm just saying, like, if you don't like somebody, you got to respect the rank, if you can't respect the person, you got to respect the title, and so give that person space, and that's fine. You're not going to be friends with everybody. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. And I've actually been in that position in my own life where, I've had back in my early days of my career, managers that I just didn't respect, right? They couldn't sit in my shoes and do what I do. So what right do they have to, be able to dictate how I do things and that kind of thing? And what I did with those moments is they suck. Don't get me wrong. It's hard to go to work. It's hard to have a positive attitude when you're in those positions and things like that. But at the end of the day, what it did is it opened my eyes and got my feet moving to knock on doors. And I always come back to this. I use this example with my kids and other people, is that, life is full of doors, and you don't know what's behind that door until you knock on it. So you have a choice to make. You can either knock on the door, or you can sit and be complacent where you're at. And if you sit and be complacent where you're at, well, that's fine. If that's what you want to choose. But that doesn't mean that's going to make you happy. Things might not ever change. If you do knock on the door, you don't know what God is going to put before you behind that door. First of all, when you knock on it, there might not be anybody home. That door might not open. It might be no different today than yesterday, but at least you knocked on that door. But one of those doors might open, and behind that door might be the biggest prize, the best journey that you've ever taken in your life. And without actually just knocking on that door, you're never going to know. So I think that to me, I've used that advice in my own life to say, if there is something wrong, if I feel in my core there's something wrong with the situation that I'm in, work-wise anyway. So this is really just work experience from my side. I started knocking on doors. Doors opened eventually, and God has put behind those doors some of the best experiences of my life, and I met some of the best people of my life.
Yeah, I definitely have a lot to say on this subject, but I'm gonna hold that for a different podcast, because it'll take it all the time on its own. So
yeah, I get it. No, this is a deep one, man.
Work is a deep one. And I think your career path and everything like that is mine's really interesting. And there's a lot of things that happened to me that were like definitely heaven sent, and God helped me in different ways that are crazy in some cases. And I definitely want to talk about it. We don't have enough time on this episode, but we'll definitely do that in another episode coming up. But yeah. All right. Well, hey guys, look, like we said, stay positive, try to talk with your neighbors. I know it's a hard time right now and everybody's a little bit divided, but we really need to bring it back together and pull ourselves together. And remember that, don't let these things like bother you. Don't watch CNN. Don't watch Fox News. Don't watch CNBC. Don't watch Facebook. Don't watch the normal feeds. Join a group. Join a study group. Join a Bible group. There's lots of different groups you can join and people you can get involved in with and have fun. There's groups all over Facebook and different things on hunting and hiking and biking. It doesn't matter. Get outside, breathe some fresh air. You definitely need it.
Yep. And remember, sometimes it's okay to just shut up.
Yeah. See you guys next time. Thanks for watching.